You know the Sack Dan Andrews party on the ballot? That's sus. It's illegal to have Dan out number plates.
Yeah.
Yet it's completely legal to set up a fake party that says Sack Dan Andrews to harvest the votes and give them back to Labor. What do you reckon that tells us about the state we live in?
Corruption at the highest level. Teflon Dan. It's disgusting. We're hardworking people in Victoria. We don't need this crap. Dan just needs to leave and let us live in peace.
Are you just angry that you can't get those number plates?
Mate, I love them.
Avi Mini for Rebel News in Melbourne, Australia, with an election update you need to share. There is a party called Sack Dan Andrews, which, in fact, in many seats, is actually preferencing the exact person you want out.
6 months ago, Glenn Jury contacted us as we set up the Angry Victorians. He's the guy who's a preference whisperer and wanted us to pay money. So Chris Burson, as you know, our former police officer, set up a Zoom call with him and we recorded him talking about how he does this preference wheeling and dealing, and also how he sets up parties. And this election he set up the Sack Dan Andrews party because so many people are using that Sack Dan Andrews as that sort of catch cry within the freedom movement. So he set up this party to harness those preferences and particularly in some seats actually move them towards voting in Labor before the Conservative side of government.
Let me tell you about Sack Dan Andrews, and I'm bringing you into confidence here. It's one of mine. If we run in these hot seats, the ones that I told you, they're the hot seats of the ALP. Stay focused on the mission. The mission is get preferences in the upper house. How do we do that? We leverage. Yep. So those seats are where you can leverage. Yep. I am focused on the longer game, and that is we've got to give the government, which will be the Andrews government, we've got to give them a crossbench they can work with. I had an emissary come to me from the Libs a year ago in the height of COVID lockdowns. And this is a guy I know. He's was a senior staffer in the federal government that I had a lot of dealings with when I was chief of staff with Hinch. A lot of dealings with, and I like the guy. We get on well. We trust each other. And he said, "We want you to do your best to get rid of Dan. It's the right thing to do for the community. You've got to do it." He was appealing to, my sense of community and self. And I said, I agree. What's going on with these lockdowns is terrible. It's terrible. He said, "So you're going to help?" And I said, "Well, what you need to do is come back to me and say that the Liberals will make a public statement to say they're not going to get rid of the group voting ticket." "Oh, they'll never do that." "Then I'll never help." Why the fuck would I help somebody the minute they get in, they want to put their finger here and just start pushing until I can't breathe anymore?
But has Labor committed to say they won't, though?
The conversation doesn't go like that.
Yeah.
The conversation is, I want you to be able to govern and I will help you find a pathway forward.
What he's saying is...
Yeah, he's saying it.
that if you're voting Sack Dan Andrews, you could potentially actually be doing the opposite.
Absolutely. That's what he does. He sets up these parties with catchy names and pushes those votes to whoever he wants. And if you've seen that footage, he wants to keep a Labor government in because Labor has not promised to making the reforms that are needed to cancel this system.
The system that pays him money.
The system that he gets $55,000 per seat that he does the preferences for.
Cost. So since we're not on the table, cost for us getting elected, what is it?
If you win, you'll give me 55K.
55.
Well, normally I'd charge you 5K as a...
It's gone up 5,000 since last time, mate.
Not really. Before was before. It was a before and after, whereas now it's...
Everybody gives me 5K as a member of the family.
Okay.
What do you feel about the fact that in Victoria, it's become illegal to own number plates that say Dan out? They've cancelled somebody's number plates for saying Dan out, but it's completely legal to set up a fake party that says Sack Dan Andrews only to harness votes for people that want him out, only to harness those votes to pass them on to the exact person to keep him in.
Mate, all that I know is that I've been so disappointed coming down here to Victoria and just seeing you've got this IBAC and it's kind of like a teacher or a babysitter that everyone's complaining to. We gave them that footage of the video. They're going to take 45 days to get to it, but people are voting this weekend. There's things that have to be illegal here, if not immoral. That's why we just have to get this information out to people, because they're already voting and so many of them still don't know this information. That is the manipulation of democracy.
Imagine that, living in a state where it's illegal to have Dan out number plates, but completely fine to create and fabricate a party just to harness votes to go against the democratic will of the person voting. But that's the reality, so share it far and wide. If you think this report is important, make sure to like, comment, but most importantly, share it far and wide, because not enough people in this election know that this party is just a scam. It's a front, mostly to help Daniel Andrews. And then head over to followavi.com, subscribe to the mailing list, and support the work that we do here at Rebel. And follow me across socials in case they ban us from the platform you're watching this on right now. Followavi.com. And vote Dan out. Just don't use that party.